Hi, welcome back. I'm Kaylee. This is Conscious Love. So, I want to talk about clearing any resistance that you may have, first of all, to the idea that you can change your health by changing your life, by changing your habits, by changing your thought patterns, by changing your diet, by changing. Um, Many people, and I mean really many people, find this conversation very triggering. It can be very hard for me to have this conversation with people face to face because I'm hit with an overwhelm of anger. Um, because it seems to me the reason for this is, first and foremost, people don't want to be blamed. They don't want to feel responsible for having created something, especially something terrible that's happened to them. Now, this is understandable now. So this is where I feel strongly that I want to explain there's a big difference between saying, to somebody, okay, you have this chronic illness or you have this cancer that's grown in your body. Now, it's your fault. You did all these things wrong, and it's your fault. That's not kind. That's not compassionate. That's not caring. Um, it's also not helpful. That's not what this is. What I am trying to say to you is to raise your awareness, to say, hey, I'm going to bet my life that you didn't know this set of circumstances, these particular patterns that you have, these ways of living that you have created an environment that your body has then responded by creating a cancer. This is more accurate. Because no conscious human being chooses illness. This is safe to say. So nobody can be blamed for their illness. But to say to you, to perhaps Western medicine, I've seen it happen so many times. They'll put balm on your wounds by saying, "Oh, it's not your fault. You did nothing wrong." Well, how long does that feel good for? Especially if you've got hanging over you this a life-threatening thing or a so-called incurable problem. How comforting is it to know that it wasn't your fault? I'm going to bet not very, not overly. How much more empowering would it be to know, well, hey, let's look at everything you're doing, because there's something in your pattern, in your lifestyle patterns, that's created a hostile environment within your body. And that hostile environment has allowed certain things to grow in number that shouldn't have been allowed to grow in number. So let's look at that. Because there's many reasons. There's not a one cookie cutter reason. There are many potential causes, and I'd argue, though, they all come back to stress and inflammation. Every single one. Now, there's many things that cause stress, whether it's environmental, chemical, biological, mental, emotional, psychosocial, so many things that can create stress within our brains and our bodies. A lot of this comes back to our perception. What one person perceives as being stressful is not the same as another. So this is going to vary for everybody. But what I can say, without any doubts whatsoever, is that an environment of stress will inevitably lead to disease and illness. An environment of well-being, of relaxation, of peace, of joy, of these kind of higher vibration feelings, these lead to health. These are your patterns for health. So the good news is, if your body created an illness, your body can decreate it, can destory it. But we need to find the conditions. We need to get your body from away from the toxic conditions and into tonic conditions. And that can be a huge challenge. Usually that means people need to look at every single aspect of their life, which can be a huge, let's say, inconvenience. But let's not call it that. Let's call it an opportunity. This is an opportunity that life has given you, and it might not look that way. This might even, and I hope this doesn't come across as insensitive in any way, because this is the very opposite of what I'm intending. I want for you to feel hope again. I want for you to see that actually this isn't just bad luck. You're not condemned by this life sentence that you've been put under by Western medicine. There are absolutely other ways of looking at this. There are other people who have survived such things, who've had spontaneous remissions, I've studied these people, I've found the patterns, I understand why this has happened for them, and that means it can happen for you too. And there's no reason other than your own resistance and your own lack of belief. These things will prevent your healing. The first and foremost, you need to have belief in your body's ability to heal. Now that might take more than just this video. That might take you spending days researching, looking up videos, case studies of other people who have healed from perhaps the same illness that you have, or who have reversed the conditions. Honestly, I could tell you countless stories. There's a doctor who, he got cancer, and he ended up going on this quite a strict sort of diet, and he really believed in this diet, and he healed the cancer within his body. He was, he didn't believe it if it hadn't happened to him. He actually regressed. He went back on eating meat and dairy, and he ended up getting cancer again, and he didn't heal it the second time. But the point was, he healed it the first time. So if the body, this is what I'm trying to say, if the body can create illness, the body can heal illness. It's all about the conditions. For instance, look at, the best analogy is actually in nature, is in plants. I had a plant that was giving out, it was full of mold. So it was in this big pot, this beautiful plant, and all the leaves started to go moldy. Now, if I had left this plant in exactly the same circumstances that it was in when I found the mold, that mold would have continued to grow, taken over the whole plant, and killed the plant, which there's been a few casualties around here recently. That did happen with a few of them. However, when I saw it as a symptom, I then took the plant, realised the soil had become waterlogged, there wasn't enough drainage. I looked at the problems. I could find the problems quite easily. I took away the soil, I planted it in new, fresh soil. I was more careful about how much I was watering it. And do you know what? It took time. It didn't overnight, the mold didn't go away. I had to spray it with, I used certain natural neem oil, and I used certain things to assist the plant to heal, putting it in new conditions, giving it, so I suppose medication for the plant, which was of natural means. This all assisted the plant's well-being, and actually this is one of them behind me now. And it's still alive, and it's still here, and it's still flourishing, and there's still, it's not as healthy as it would have been if it hadn't had the mold, but the point is it will be. It just needs time. In another 6 months' time, we're not even going to know that had a mold issue. This is directly relatable to us as humans. We need to find out what is wrong with the soil we are planted in, what is wrong with the conditions we are surrounded by. And there's many variables, even with plants. Is it the temperature? Is it the humidity? Is it the soil? Is it the pH of the soil? Is it the lack of sunlight? Too much? Million reasons. So we need to find the reasons that are creating illness within you, and we need to fix them so we can create your health. Thank you for listening.